Students, so today we'll be discussing about the second part of life process, that is your respiration. Now you have come across this term in class 7 as well. Now what do you mean by respiration? If you recall nutrition, after the food we took in, it got digested, it was absorbed and it reached to each and every cell. Now the question is, how do we get energy? We all know that we eat food to get energy, but how do we get that energy from food? So we get energy from food by the process of respiration. So we can define respiration as the process of oxidation of food in the cells either in presence or absence of oxygen to release energy in the form of ATP molecules. In class 9 we have got what is ATP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. So this is the definition of respiration. So what is respiration? The process of oxidation of food. Now one big thing here is that we have to understand that though it is oxidation of food, it may be either in presence or absence of oxygen. Oxidation necessarily does not mean that there has to be oxygen. If it is in presence of oxygen, then it will be called aerobic respiration. If it is in absence of oxygen, it will be called anaerobic respiration. Now, when we are discussing about respiration, there are two parts of respiration, not types, two parts. What are those two parts? One part is the cellular respiration. There is basically a biochemical reaction. The biochemical reactions which occurs in the cells, that is called cellular respiration. And the second part, it is the breathing part. What is breathing? Breathing is actually a biophysical or a part where there is exchange. So it is a physical part which involves exchange of respiratory gases. That means oxygen will be taken in if it is aerobic respiration, and carbon dioxide will be released. So basically these are the two parts of respiration occurring in an organism. Now first we'll be discussing what happens in cellular respiration. Now if you see here, suppose let us consider this to be a cell. So in nutrition part we have got that the cells will be getting the food. So let's say the food reaches the cell. Now the most common form of food from where energy is produced, it is your glucose, C6H12O6 formula. Now initially in all the cells wherever respiration will take place, this glucose is converted into a compound which is called pyruvic acid or pyruvate, Pyruvate. It is either called pyruvic acid or pyruvate. Now this pyruvic acid is a 3-carbon compound. So what we are finding, is that a 6-carbon compound is getting converted into a 3-carbon compound. Therefore, this step is called glycolysis. Glyco means glucose, lysis means breakdown. So this is the initial step which occurs. Now this is not a single step conversion. There are multiple chemical reactions, but for your level we should just know that glucose gets converted into pyruvic acid, and this is called glycolysis. Now where it occurs in cytoplasm. Now from here there are different processes which can occur. If it is a case of aerobic respiration, then what happens? There is a cell organelle. If you can recognize it from your class 9, whatever you have learned, you will know that I have drawn what is called a mitochondria. There is a mitochondrion. So, in aerobic respiration, this pyruvic acid enters into mitochondria, and inside mitochondria it undergoes a cyclic biochemical reaction. So this is also not a single step reaction, there are multiple reactions here. It is cyclic because the compound which will begin here, at the end the same compound will be released. So this pyruvic acid will go through this cyclic biochemical reaction, and this is called Krebs cycle. Now for this Krebs cycle to occur, you will learn the details in higher class. You need oxygen, and therefore it is called aerobic reaction or respiration. And in the process, what we are getting? We are getting ATP molecules, and we will get carbon dioxide. So this is your aerobic respiration. Krebs cycle occurs where? Inside mitochondrion. Okay, it occurs in mitochondrion and after glycolysis. So this is aerobic. Now, if it is anaerobic respiration, then what happens? Suppose pyruvic acid. Anaerobic respiration, let's take in case of yeast. Yeast is a unicellular fungi. So in yeast or in anaerobic bacteria, there are some anaerobic bacteria where anaerobic respiration occurs. What happens in those organisms, in these organisms, your pyruvic acid will get converted into ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus ATP. So ethanol C2H5OH. So ethanol, carbon dioxide and ATP. So this happens in yeast and anaerobic bacteria. And there is another case of anaerobic respiration which occurs in our skeletal muscles. Now generally what happens when we do hard work, excessive exercise, our legs and hands pain? Why it happens? Because in skeletal muscles, when we are doing very vigorous exercise, during vigorous exercise, then what happens? The body is not able to supply enough oxygen. During that time, the pyruvic acid will be, rather than going for Krebs cycle, what it will do? It will go in another pathway and it will get converted into your ATP will be formed. Along with ATP, lactic acid is formed. Now this lactic acid gets stored in the muscles and it has got toxic effect. Therefore, it causes the pain. But as we take rest, after that what happens? Slowly the pain reduces. Why? Because as we take rest, again the body will be supplying enough oxygen, and the lactic acid, it will be converted back into pyruvic acid, and it will continue with the Krebs cycle. So basically, these are the two cases of anaerobic respiration. So this is basically what happens during your cellular respiration process. If it is aerobic respiration, glycolysis along with Krebs cycle in presence of oxygen. If it is anaerobic respiration, first glycolysis, and then if it is yeast or anaerobic bacteria, it will form ethanol, carbon dioxide, ATP. If it is in skeletal muscles during vigorous exercise, lactic acid and ATP. Now this reaction has a lot of commercial application. This ethanol, it is a consumable form of alcohol, so it is used in brewery for making alcoholic beverages, and also in bakery industry where yeast is mixed with dough, and so that when carbon dioxide will be formed, the dough will swell up. So these are the two industries where this reaction is extensively carried out. So from here we can make out the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So if we list out the differences of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, we can say first the basic difference occurs in presence of oxygen, occurs in absence of oxygen. Second difference, aerobic respiration involves glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Anaerobic respiration involves only glycolysis. Number 3, aerobic respiration, where it occurs in cytoplasm and mitochondria. Occurs in only cytoplasm. Fourth difference, we can say what are the products. Here the products are carbon dioxide, we even get water molecules, and ATP. Here depending on the pathway, products can be alcohol, it can be lactic acid, carbon dioxide is formed, and ATP is formed. Another difference we can cite as how much ATP is formed. If it is aerobic respiration, oxidation of one glucose molecule gives 38 ATP. And if it is anaerobic respiration, oxidation of one glucose molecule, it just yields 2 ATP molecules. So the amount of ATP which is formed is very, very less in case of your anaerobic respiration. So overall, this is the concept of cellular respiration. In the next video, I'll be discussing about the physical process which is called breathing, and there I'll be discussing about the human respiratory system and how exchange of gases takes place. Thank you.